Hello, good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, TV6 First Solar Weather Day. A lot is happening here in the next 24 to 48 hours, but I want to give you some updates to this storm system that we have been tracking to come in for the next couple of days, all week long. And so there's just a minor change with this, and that's a lot of it has to do with the rain that's still kind of hanging on. We're going to talk about the snow, we're going to talk about the winds, we're going to hit all of the main bullet points. We're going to talk about how conditions are right now and how they will deteriorate throughout the day. We'll get you through all of the most pertinent information so you can make the most educated decision for you and your family if you have to make some decisions today on whether you travel or not. So, first off, here's what we still have going on. The big change to the forecast is that rain is still hanging on across our central and eastern counties, and that could eat away at total snowfall in some of those areas by the time this is over and done with, going into tomorrow evening by the end of Thanksgiving. But we're still expecting high snowfall amounts in many areas to near 2 feet of snow in the high elevations of the west end of the UP, Baraga, and Marquette counties. We're still expecting some dangerous travel conditions for the northern UP. And we're also looking at improvements to gradually happen as Thanksgiving progresses. Those are the main highlights. All of these alerts are in place. Okay. So, not ideal for traveling, especially near Lake Superior and those red highlighted counties. We're all going to have some sort of snow and wind, but the worst is expected there. Okay, and it's the first alert weather day because it's for a first alert weather day for the entire UP because it is going into a holiday. And I know a lot of you folks, you might have travel plans from one point to the other across the UP. So while you might be located in a place where you're not going to be super impacted by this, you might have to be traveling to another area that will. And that's the why. So those are your alerts. We're asking that you avoid travel near Lake Superior if you can. We know that there are people and folks who have to get to their jobs that are essential personnel, and that's okay. But if you are traveling for whatever reason this morning, today, tonight, this evening, especially near Lake Superior, factor in a lot of extra time. We're going to have drifting snow, blowing snow, potentially whiteout conditions near Lake Superior. Right now, our winds not terrible in the UP. You can see that area of low pressure due to the circulation of those counterclockwise flowing winds. So that area of low pressure, that center low is right along the Wisconsin state line with stronger winds south of the low and on the back end of it. So a lot of those stronger winds will be coming in throughout the day. Right now, we're seeing that gusts have pushed up to about 44 miles per hour over at Copper Harbor. Let's time this out for you. Not terrible right now, but by mid afternoon, strong winds expand across the central UP and then eventually the east. Gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour, strongest near Lake Superior, potentially even near 55 miles per hour there. So this is 7:30 this evening. And then overnight, it still stays strong. Tomorrow morning, not as strong, but still rather windy. And then as Thanksgiving continues, we'll notice those winds weakening, gusts of 30 to 35 by Thanksgiving afternoon and evening. So that wind threat will gradually diminish tomorrow. I think today, this afternoon, going into this evening and tonight will be the worst for that wind threat and the blizzard conditions. And that progresses from west to east. As you can see here, this graphic kind of depicts that the west end just not great all day today. And then worse conditions for the eastern UP due to that wind ramping up in the east during the late afternoon and early evening hours. Again, it all progresses from west to east. Right now, not the worst over in Houghton and Hancock for blowing snow, but we're seeing some of that snow increase there. We've had reports of very kind of slushy, sloppy, and even some icy road conditions. There's that low that I'm talking about. So a little bit of a lull right now along the Wisconsin state line. Steady rain still kind of hanging on in the central and the east end. There are pockets of more moderate rainfall that we've noted across portions of the eastern UP, but that's now shifting offshore. There it is. Okay. So at this point, it's really going to depend on how quickly that rain snow line moves into Marquette County. Our in house model's holding on to that rain through about late morning. And that rain snow line is across the eastern section of Baraga County, so just west of Michigami and Humboldt Township. For the majority of the last 3-4 hours, it was kind of hovering over in western Baraga County. So in the span of about 2 to 4 hours, that rain snow line has progressed now to the eastern part of Baraga County. So rather slow. Maybe potentially an additional 4 hours or so before the city of Marquette sees that rain snow line developing. Okay. All right. So here's that transition that I was talking about. Slow. Our in-house model has that snow right in the central UP by midday, noon today, and still some mix in the east. Then the snow pushes in the eastern UP by about late afternoon. Heavy bands of snow coming down, high intensities. Rates could be about 1 to 2 inches of snow per hour. And that is especially for the western half of the UP and or near Lake Superior. So let's keep going here. Here's tonight. There's tomorrow morning, Thanksgiving morning. Some improvements in the central UP and the western UP, but a heavy band of lake effect snow to kick off Thanksgiving morning in Alger County through northern eastern Delta County and Schoolcraft County. As Thanksgiving continues, we'll see that snow gradually weaken and gradually diminish in the west and central, but we're still going to have moderate lake effect snow bands in the east. So travel along M28 or towards the eastern UP probably would be the worst tomorrow in those areas as compared to the central and west end. But again, really dependent on how road crews do with the cleanup process in this, okay? So here's this evening, or excuse me, tomorrow evening, Thanksgiving evening, where that snow kind of comes to a halt on the west and the central, but those bands continue in the east. By Friday morning, Black Friday morning, most of that will be ending. So we're still expecting easily 1 to 1.5 feet of snow for most of the central and western half of the UP. There's going to be a kind of a sharp decrease in range depending on elevation between low elevation to high elevations. We're still expecting high terrain areas of the western UP, Baraga and western Marquette counties to continue to push near 2 feet of snow by the time this whole entire thing wraps up and ends. And then if you're near Lake Michigan, that's where we're expecting lower snowfall, just a couple of inches in southern parts of the UP and Menominee County into southern Dickinson County. Low elevations for Marquette County, so along Lake Superior for the city of Marquette, still expecting kind of around 1 foot of snow. Really will depend on, again, how quickly we get this transition, that rain snow line to move in to Marquette County. After this system wraps up, we're looking at a snowy and a cold pattern this weekend. There's a small disturbance that brings in some scattered snow Saturday, Sunday, flurries into early next week, below normal temperatures as well. So whatever snow we're getting here in the next 48 hours, it's going to be sticking around for a little while, okay? And we will keep you updated. Once we have changes or updates to the forecast and the evolution of the storm system, we will be pushing those updates out through video platforms on our TV6 First Alert Weather app. So I suggest that, it might be a really good opportunity for you to have that ready to go on your phone. And hopefully you don't have to do a lot of traveling today in those northern counties that are blizzard warned. But if you do, please, please, please be careful out there. Okay. Probably another update to come